All right, guys, how's it going? This is Chicago Ted coming to you with another replay, another fun one from the looks of it. I'm starting to observe some things now. Recently, some of the observation things were changed, and I'm trying to get used to it. So consider this both a replay cast and a bit of an experimental cast. I'm going to try to operate with some of these new camera things. You can see quick switching between heroes. As they're bindable now. This is one of my favorite things about the recent changes. Also, you can see clear as daylight the monobars up at the top of the screen. So that should give another decent idea, give you a little bit of an idea of where heroes stand and make the spectating experience a little better. So experimental and still a classic Ted cast. Trademark. Copyright, I think. No, not really. All right, guys. So this one, sent in again. Should be decent. I mean, we've got some incredible lineups coming out, some very interesting drafts, and, well, without further ado, let's take a look at how this early game goes. Plenty of contesting for the top rune, but getting taken away by a Sun Ray. It looks like Mimenko will be able to grab this rune regardless. Oh, my Swift moves in, looking for, actually, no call, just counter Helix for now. 64 ends up popping out the War Cry first instead of going for anything else. Which, maybe a Stormhammer would have been a little bit better here, but unfortunately, it looks like that is not going to be the case for him, and they'll miss out a chance for a first blood. But the game still can go either way. Of course, Dead will grab the other rune, so a 50-50 split along the first bounty line. We'll leave it at a fairly simple game distribution coming on into the early game. So the laning situation seems to be pretty interesting. An off-lane Magnus with a safe lane Mirana. An aggro try featuring an axe and a Sven. So lots of big swords and axes coming out from this team. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how the Dire are able to deal with this, considering their carry is one of the weaker carries in the game in the laning stage. But they do have two very strong supports to go with it, as Jame in the mid lane might bring down Koromi, but he's able to stay alive and eats up the damage over time by popping out the Fairy Fire. And now a salve to keep himself healthy. Comes close, but won't go down so far. Oh, my Swift diving in deep, looking for the kill. He's also got Sven at his back, or was at his back. Won't be there any longer, so they're not going to be able to find the kill here. But just as I say that, the Sunray comes out, and Oh My Swift still operating, looking for that kill. Sunray also doing a great job at healing him up, as that 14 HP per second heal with the Tango proving to be very useful. However, Mimenko's trying to find that follow-up kill, dropping to about half HP. Ugh, this is getting pretty interesting for him. Just play your game now moves in, trying to offer some support. Might be able to solidify a kill onto the Axe. They're going to group up around him. The Sunray comes out again, healing the Axe up once again. Mimenko, there is 0 mana, but they get the slow out. Stormhammer now out from 64. Just play your game is looking to dive in, but no overwhelming odds. Can't get that movement speed. And of course, still level 1 on the Disruptor means no glimpse. So a classic case of close but no cigar for this lane. Meanwhile, taking a quick look down back at bottom, ASDF, again, toe-to-toe with Dead. Magnus versus Mirana. I think this favors Mirana just slightly, but it's really going to be a lane where both of them should get valid experience income, and even ASDF, though he's melee, should have no trouble getting at least some CS, considering the bottle will help him spam shockwaves, and of course, melee is a lot easier to time as far as last hitting goes than a ranged attack. But still, rather slow in the early game considering all the action coming out. You'd expect a kill, but nothing so far, as these aggro lanes, not only are they great at being aggressive, or this aggro lane rather, but it's also great at being really defensive. If people are starting to fall low, they can stay alive. Mimenko is actually going to go down here, I think, with plenty of creeps. No, block. He actually takes full tower aggro and gets it off just in the nick of time. But Mimenko is still very, very much in trouble, as comeback, well, he ends up taking the heat and will go down. This pulling is not great. This creep cutting is not great either. A Spectre cannot last hit in these conditions. And now all of this pressure now going to be put on the Spectre. Comeback comes into the fray, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to protect the Spectre at all. Spec, only one tango means he wouldn't have been able to get through those trees, and they do get the call. Oh My Swift will grab the kill. There's going to be a glimpse, comeback, staying true to his hero, and he does get the kill because of it, but it's a one-for-one trade, and you do not want to lose your Spectre in those conditions. So Radiant starting out on the right foot. I mean, there are lots of ways that the Dire can protect their lanes and come out on top. And it doesn't seem like they're employing them that well. And the result is the fact that, yeah, the Dire should be falling quite a bit behind in this early game. Now, the one issue that the Radiant's going to have will probably be this Legion Commander getting free farm in the jungle, which is typical for most games. I don't see why people hate Legion Commander jungle that much, because it pretty often goes uncontested, and it is a fast jungler with the Iron Talon. So there aren't many ways for them to shut that down. So despite the fact that the Spectre's not getting a whole lot of farm, the Legion Commander should still be pulling out quite a bit of net worth, and therefore will have a significant impact once she does find her Blink Dagger and the Blade Mail. But we'll look at all the lanes slowing down once again. There is an error on the bottom lane. Does connect into the Magnus. Is dead. Will stay alive through it all. But up on the top, 64 with the Stormhammer onto Mimenko. Comeback is sitting there waiting. Gets this kinetic field. Was trying to hope that Mimenko would get a dagger into the trees. Still gets it off and is able to stay alive. However, will get eaten through. And now the damage over time will be enough to clean the Spectre up. So 1-for-1 as in the bottom lane. ASDF actually gets a kill on the Mirana. Not quite what we were expecting, but definitely better than nothing for the Dire team, as just player game has also rotated again to the top lane to try to protect someone, but will go up and not pull anything out from it. And so we'll wait and see if this Legion Commander is going to have any sizable impact. 1,300 gold in her bank account. But not a whole lot more on top of that. I mean, an item right now would be huge. A Blink Dagger would be incredible for this Legion Commander to have. Blink level 6, but neither of those are quite on the plate. Has come back, now 64, doesn't have the Stormhammer at the ready. Not enough mana. You can see from the fancy mana pool up at the top. Meanwhile, dead. Takes a shockwave, but it looks like he will stay alive. However, ASDF, with the haste and the reverse polarity, might be able to make a play on the bottom lane. He just has to find the right opening. Back to the top, though. The Stormhammer connects in the 2, but they're underneath the tier 2 tower, so not going to be aggressive on top of that. Come close, but we'll hold back for now. This top lane, this aggro lane is doing everything it needs to, though. It's pushed all the way up to the tier 2 tower. They might even be able to get some chip damage on this tower. Actually go in for Mimenko. Get the Stormhammer off as well as the call. Mimenko surviving through all of it, though. They've got the Venomous Gale. They've also got the Poison Nova. And a little bit of return damage coming back around. But Mimenko will still drop. Meanwhile, just play your game. Also getting himself some decent damage off. Comeback will stay alive through it all. As just player game now chasing Oh My Swift. Needs an overwhelming odds, but doesn't have it. They don't even have detection. So Oh My Swift will get away alive. 64 will also survive through it all. And of course, goes without saying, Comeback getting away. I think he had about 10 to 15 HP after all was said and done. 3 very near-death experiences happen before the 10-minute mark with 7 kills already on the board. Still kind of indicative of a slow game, but by the way the farming is coming out in this game, about 3k net worth on the top players. That is the Axe, Oh My Swift at the top of the board, mixing between the aggro lane and now jungling up the rest of his net worth. Should be looking at, or could be looking at, a pre-10-minute Blink Dagger. That would be huge for him. Also considering he's got infused raindrops, he should be able to take a lot of punishment as Jaime up on the top lane getting aggroed on by 64, but staying alive. Does have a TP scroll, and 64 with no way of catching him. The Stormhammer just coming off cooldown. Baku Senpai could fall to the tick damage. The headdress keeping him alive, and it looks like, yeah, the tick damage not quite enough to finish him off. Still dropping sub 100 HP. That is always scary as ASDF in the bottom lane. Another kill. Another little bit to put in his account and some experience. This is a 2-0 Magnus. Not quite at the net worth. Actually, he's past the net worth of Oh My Swift, but he did go in for the Arcane Boots, so the Blink Dagger won't be nearly as fast. Speaking of, Oh My Swift could go ahead and buy one right now. Does on the verge of death, but he won't be dying just yet. As comeback, not quite enough damage. They now have support from Kuromi, and there's the last bit they need to turn this one around. Out on a comeback, however, Oh My Swift will still drop. Comeback ends up dying as well. Now ASDF will see some aggro from Dead. However, Jane comes in, the poison over out. Kuromi taking away will go down to the cleaver of ASDF, and now Dead. Poison over also onto him, but the damage over time might not be enough. It'll get him very low, but oh, the tick needed about one more from the poison over and one more from the poison touch, and he would have had enough. But in the case of one more, well, he fell a little bit short. It's a little bit of back and forth in the mid lane, but not too much happening. A blink in, the call catching two. Jane dropping very low will drop to the Stormhammer instead of the Culling Blade. But 64, very low HP. He's got to be careful of the potential for a glimpse back from comeback. Staying true to his name, as we pointed out. And no support, though, which may make it a little bit harder. But just play your game, has got himself a Blink Dagger at the ready, and should be looking to find a kill very soon. As, I mean, the items coming out from these players are looking pretty solid for a 10-minute game. 3 Blink Daggers completed. Oh My Swift, just player game, and ASDF all connecting with them. However, the Spectre falling a little bit behind. Her net worth is rather unsavory for a game at this point in time. Though with the space that her team should be able to create, it may not be all that bad. Got to be careful about this Axe, though. Oh My Swift playing aggro on with that Blink Dagger is going to be a major problem. Finding people that are out of position and exploiting that very same positioning. Just that's where games can fall apart. You find the one person that's away from the rest, you bring them down fast, and all of a sudden it's a 4v5. And Axe has fairly low cooldowns, so they'll go in now onto Jane, connects. They've got him with the EMP. They've got all the damage to follow up, and just like that, the Venomancer will drop dead. Oh My Swift pulling another kill for his repertoire and another good sum of gold. In fact, the Courier will bring to him a chainmail, which should be a blade mail, coming out very soon. Meanwhile, our Sven is free to go for a more carry style now that the Axe has maneuvered into the jungle, leaving him to both lane and, if he needs to, duck into his side of the map's jungle. They've got a decent stack up on the Ancients for when he should be able to take it. Actually, if he pops Godstring, he should be able to take it just now as, oh boy, just player game getting caught in. They need him for their impact. They won't have him. The Poison Nova out, though. Jamie getting some solid damage off. Oh My Swift going to try for the TP out. Gets it off, but is it going to be enough to keep him alive? It looks like it should be able to with the Supernova coming out, locking Jamie in, but the Ravage, or sorry, the Reverse Polarity, locking everyone from the Radiant in that was in the vicinity. Kuromi should drop soon after. 64 already going down. The one escapee is Baku Senpai, but they've got 12 seconds for a glimpse. Not enough time to continue chasing. They'll get the shockwave off, but it's just barely too short for ASDF to land. Still a 3-for-1. Not too bad that the Venomancer went in very deep for that Poison Nova, because I'm pretty sure that's what allowed them to lock up a couple of those kills. Of course, the Reverse Polarity on point from the Magnus. Just finding the right line, the rest of the heroes that need to be found, and unfortunately not able to get the kill, as there was enough of an escape maneuver, especially on to Baku Senpai. But even though they came very close, they still got 2 other kills, which is very important. A lot of net worth they were able to pull from that fight. Speaking of net worth, 6K on the Magnus. Just from that alone, the RP putting him in the vicinity of 2 kills. Plus, he's 5-0-1. No deaths to pull away from his net worth at all. But meanwhile, the second highest net worth, 64, has had 1 death to impede him. But his farm still looking pretty decent. As in the bottom lane, Oh My Swift gets the call on ASDF. Can they get this kill? They will. Speaking of no deaths, well, that quickly ends as just play your game. He is now on the run, getting away at 190 HP. The Sunray trying to get some damage up, but can't find the line. They still will be able to pull in that kill. 4 of the Radiant heroes are in the vicinity for it too, which means they all get the assist experience and assist gold, giving them effectively a good boost. I mean, show the fight recap, we can see a 1,000 gold change and an 1,800 experience change for their team. Yeah, that's pretty much like getting a Roshan right there at 14 minutes. In fact, you know, Radiant might be able to get a Roshan, actually, if they line up for it in enough time. And one thing I don't think I pointed out, but is very important to mention, as we see an engagement, or a pseudo-engagement at that on the top lane. Actually, hold that thought, Jamie. We'll be able to bring down Oh My Swift. We also have a Haunt trying to bring the Spectre in close by, but Dead, it looked like they weren't going to get that kill to TP out, is not going to connect, and Dead will go, well, Dead will be dead, I guess would be the proper way to put it. But back to the point, 64, one important thing to note, him versus Spectre. This is a fairly soft counter to a Spectre. Normally you say Spectre's one of the harder late game carries, if not the hardest late game carry because of the versatility of the hero. Well, her one weakness is huge amounts of damage in a short amount of time. I mean, she can sustain very well. Give her a heart and a Scotty, plenty of armor, but around the 45-minute mark and before, 64 can burst her down in 4 or 5 hits. And that's the kind of thing that the Spectre cannot deal with, is in the mid lane, ASDF will grab himself a double kill, making up for his 1 death and giving him very close, if not completing, the 4 staff that'll help him out. As back to the top lane, well, look who goes down. Spectre, just as we talk about, and a little bit of back and forth kind of flame or trash talk and all chat. 64 will finally pull in that kill. Oh My Swift will just help out, offer a helping hand at the very least, as he moves in now for the mid lane. Invis Rune could find Jamie in the middle of all these creeps too. This could be a huge call. In fact, only gets him alone now, but Dead is there. Will pull out with a dual Star Storm, landing both hits. They've also got the Sunray, trying to tick away as much damage as possible. There they go. The one final call from the counter Helix, and they're able to get enough damage for the Culling Blade. Meanwhile, Kuromi, haven't seen a lot of the Invoker plays so far this game. As ASDF, there is a Force Staff, one of the better uses of it against an Invoker, getting him away from all of those spells. Let's come back now. We'll move in for the bottom lane to assist his Magnus. If they can find a blink in, a solo RP could end up netting them a kill, but the backup is there from the Radiant. They've got Oh My Swift, and they've also got Baku Senpai. They're getting the damage for comeback, but the glimpse, they get the call. Oh man, comeback now is chasing his own glimpse. Drops a static storm, but a bit questionable as he's not able to do anything, and there's no follow-up for it either. He was dead anyway. Must have been, at best, a panic. But the rest of the Dire moving in. There is a call, catching 2, almost 3. They've also got an arrow ASDF. He cannot get his reverse polarity off. As he goes down, they're looking to bring down the Supernova, but they can't get it. Just play your game. Will end up dying for this one. Tornado through, but won't connect. Oh My Swift is taking a lot of damage from this Poison Nova. In fact, they can't blink forward because of it. Dead still gets the arrow to connect. And now looking to follow up, but no more mana. He does have a magic wand, but in a couple seconds, not even enough mana from that. Dead will go down to the tower as 64 comes in, looking for comeback. They've got a Sunstrike, but it's a bit off the mark. Doesn't even matter, as 64 had enough damage to bring comeback down on his own. So, a 1 for 4 in the end. Still getting very close to turning around at certain points. Never actually did. The Radiant continued pressing and pressing and pressing, and eventually, well, they were able to solidify it. In fact, I'm surprised Oh My Swift never went down. He got hit by the Poison Nova, and it looked like it might have been enough. As Just Player Game and ASDF on the top lane may have had Oh My Swift had more mana, they may have fallen victim to a Blink Call, but it looks like he will hold on to it because, well, lack of mana. The TP scroll being his best friend right there. As Baku Senpai now looking for some farm. I think there's a mechanism into a Greaves buildup for the Phoenix. A very popular buildup at that. A very useful one. As 64 now being brought back by the Skewer. Yeah, however, he might see a little bit of trouble. Blink, Empower, and the duel. They don't have enough damage to win this duel. In fact, 64 is doing more damage on the return than Just Player Game is doing initially. Now the call, Blade Mail, they've got everything to turn this one. And with the cleave, the God Strength, but the Ravage locking him in place. 64 is close to going down, but not dead yet, as Jamie can't seem to finish this one up. He's got the Poison Touch on 64. Will he tick away? Barely regenning out. Oh, maybe there is a tick. Looks like he just needs... Okay, no, he's out regenning the damage tick. Moving in now, looking for comeback. Who's going to die to that urn? So he just wants the experience from it and will get it off. As Oh My Swift continuing to chase this time for ASDF. But he is very low on HP and not enough mana to continue anyway. So he will hold back the Force Staff on his own. I really like this from the Radiant. We can count 2 Force Staffs on their team as well as 2 Blinks. Or at least... Oh, nope, never mind. I kind of misspoke. 1 Force Staff on their team. The other Force Staff is ASDF on the Magnus, but I think this is something I don't see enough of, and I'd love to see more of, is the buildup of Force Staffs. In fact, I play in a bracket that generally should have some idea, but, I mean, even I forget sometimes to get the Force Staff, and casting replays, I think, has this great mutual benefit of showing you at the same time things that other people do wrong, but also things that you might be doing wrong that you miss. As Jamie getting caught in the middle of all of his creeps getting brought down. But Force Staff being one of them, I think, is definitely a key player in this game, and we'll see a lot of it, considering a lot of the heavy damage dealers in this game rely on being able to get up close. We're talking many melee cores, so there is going to be a Stormhammer into the full Echo Saber proc on Just Player Game with God Strength, giving him, I think at level 2, what's a 200% damage increase? 150, damn it. Okay, yeah. I was like, is it 150, 200, 250, or 100, 150, 200? And it looks like it is the latter. I kind of overestimated the hero. But, well, we've got a glimpse, or we've got a haunt. Who's it gonna glimpse to? I would think the best target would have been that Sven. May have been able to get that kill too. What items do we have on this Spectre? Maybe not. If he had a Manta, I'd say yes, because then you can Manta dodge the Stormhammer, resulting and easily get that kill. But with just a Blade Mail, it's more of an iffy situation, and you could end up getting counter-initiated on. As glimpse back into Aesthetic Storm, Baku Senpai in a lot of trouble and does go down. But I believe I was talking about something. Did I finish the point with the many melee cores and the Force Staff as well as the Invoker? Key point in that as well. I think, well, I might have talked to death anyway. 64, God Strength, Jamie going down, getting brought down. No, I was talking about something with God Strength, but I won't worry about that now. Oh, yes, that's it. 64 going down. Oh, my Swift. They got the duel out. Duel damage for Just Player Game, as Radiant will lose 3. So they had an advantage, and now it looks like they're starting to lose it. Even though they're capping out at about 7,500 net worth advantage, about a 10,000 experience advantage, it is now going into the Dire's favor. And one of the key players, again, on the net worth is this Sven, who, all things said and done, Sven is one of the better farmers in the game, having a great built-in farming mechanism via the cleave. I think it's called Greater Cleave? Great Cleave. And if you buy a Blink Dagger, you route through the jungle almost like an anti-mage. I mean, the pros of a Sven versus an anti-mage, the cleave is better damage. The cons of a Sven versus an anti-mage, the Blink is a higher cooldown. So I think anti-mage still farms a lot faster than a Sven. In fact, definitely farms a lot faster than a Sven, but The Sven only needs to spend 2,000 gold instead of 4,000 gold for his farming item. And early on, and I'm talking right after he gets that blink, he can farm at a higher speed than an anti-mage that just gets Battle Fury. So top lane, Blade Mail, as well as plenty of Desolate damage, but 64 is kind of shrugging it off, still has God Strength out, and can turn this one around in 1 second when he's got Stormhammer. They've got Tornado out, they've caught him out, and there we go. They get the kill. It looked like he may have been able to haunt away, but... Or actually, it looked like he had haunted away, but... Of course, he was not able to get it off. If you remember a long time ago, I was making a point of something about God Strength. Well, I remember what it was. Do we have a... Okay, well, we don't have a break in the action to talk about it. As in the mid lane, we've got plenty of damage. Oh My Swift will be able to bring down Comeback off the back of a great arrow. And now Kuromi with the tornado in. 64 out with the damage. They've got enough ASDF with the reverse polarity, but Baku Senpai is dropping very low, is able to get the supernova off. Meanwhile, speaking of ASDF, he's on the run, getting away. The arrow does not connect through. The call also a little bit off the mark. As, whose courier went down? Dire's courier dropped, and it dropped... Huh. That's not exactly... I guess they brought it out to... Maybe Magnus had tried to send it to the side shop or something? Well, nothing dropped off of it, so it's not really consequential. Finally, I get to talk about God Strength, though, with Echo Saber. At level 3, 200% damage doubles your damage. With Echo Saber, it also doubles your damage, essentially. So, on the first hit, you're looking at a lot of damage. As a lot of damage also now coming out. EMP on top of a Static Storm going either way, but it looks like the Radiant the one to lose this exchange as they drop 3. 64, the more important one to go down. They will get the Legion Commander for it, but it's not quite enough to make it worth it just yet. As Oh My Swift goes in for a call. Desperation is the English way, or at least the Axe's way, as, oh man, ASDF able to get a Shockwave, and that will secure a 5-man wipe and a very near 5,000 gold swing, 7,000 experience swing off that fight. And I can take a look at the graphs, and, well, if it looked like the Radiant was bringing it back into their heavy advantage, I'll think again, because just like that, the crater makes itself very apparent, and we're not going any higher anytime soon. Dire will look to try to pull this back toward equilibrium, and they are well on their way. Getting a fight and getting an objective would solidify this. However, they don't quite have enough time to find the final objective. They will still get as much damage in this tier 2 as possible. Jamie trying to lead the charge now with all these Plague Wards, but isn't able to do too much now. Kuromi going in. Wasn't an attempt at a TP. He doesn't have a TP scroll, but I didn't see if he had one before, so I guess maybe my bad, though. The damage tick from the urn should be enough to tick him off. We'll leave it on him for a second. Yep, there he goes. He is down. Meanwhile, 64 with the God Strength now moving in for Mimenko. They might have enough damage for this one, but it doesn't look like it is quite enough just yet. The TP out. They've got the Stormhammer, and that will be enough to secure the kill. So, though they just lost a 5-man wipe, they will be able to pull 2 in its wake. So, and now we look at the recap again, and they'll make a dent in what they lost with about a 1,000, 2,000 gold XP respectively. They get the tower, though, which is super important. However, the RP does connect onto 2. The skewer connecting onto 2, but only one of those was a common denominator. As Radiant, well, that RP not quite enough as they turn it around on the back of a great call and 2 fantastic Culling Blades. In fact, Dire may also lose just play your game as he is caught up in the tornado, lifted up, brought down, cold away, and 3 Culling Blades. Now, actually, was it only 2? Yeah, it was only 2 Culling Blades. 64 ended up getting the first kill. Oh well. My first statement was true, it just wasn't true at the time. My second statement, very, very much false. Legion, just play our game, buys back now as we see the damage tick over time. 64, our main target, as he's just barely walking away, has to pop the BKB, but we still have some slows onto him. Trying to move away, the war cry out, just play your game, looking, biding time for that next blink dagger. In fact, no, he's looking for Kuromi, who he cannot see anymore. Kuromi, though, might look to try to turn this around. He's got the Organ of Malevolence. but we'll hold on that. Just play our game. We'll have a blade mail up rather soon, and that's kind of territory where you don't want to taunt the Legion Commander, is when she has that blade mail at the ready. Oops, if I kind of trailed off there, it's because I moved my mic involuntarily. Oh boy. With a DD rune though, this will be Roshan. So this game, I mean, I'm actually very impressed right now with the level of play coming out from both of these teams. Of course, there have been mistakes, but as far as noticeability goes, not anything too major. I mean, obviously, I think one of the big ones here is a 5-point cross on Kuromi. Usually, you only don't want to go past 4, but just play your game. There's a mistake for you. Getting himself caught in the Ancient Pit without vision of the surrounding area. So, I mean, if you look hard enough, they'll make themselves apparent. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, as of right now, both teams are playing a very, very solid game. And I'm looking forward to seeing the next couple of minutes what happens as Radiant, they'll pull themselves in a Roshan. A very nice one at that. The arrow comes through. Dead will be able to buy them a little bit of time to hit the Roshan for free. God Strength was used. I wonder, they're going to give the Aegis to Oh My Swift. Now, one pretty important thing about this decision. Typically, some people would say the Sven would be the best carrier for that Roshan. But remember this, God Strength doesn't persist. So, if, well, okay, Mimenko glimpsing to a Sven that's no longer there. May look to try to go back bottom, but that's essentially suicide. But God Strength doesn't persist. So to put it onto a Sven, you have to not use God Strength before he goes down, and then you risk everyone else dying and Sven coming back without having used God Strength in the fight and things not going great. If you put it on an Axe now, you can get really aggressive with your first blink call. You can go very deep and not have to worry about their consequences, because then he just comes back full HP, full mana, and gets another one with plenty more counter helixes to boot. So this is why I really like the Aegis onto the Axe. In fact, they can even push further with this. With an Aegis on Axe, you can start to push high ground. Like, imagine a blink call right now. They've got God Strength up, even though it's a 4v5. I mean, it is one that is very possible. Still, though, it's actually more of a 4v4, as Mimenko was bottom lane without a haunt. He had to have TP'd back if he wanted to do anything, and that would have maybe taken too much time. The point I'm trying to make here is that the Aegis decision was really good, and now Radiant have this phenomenal window where they can take any objective they want. If they see an objective, hey, let's go ward their jungle. Okay, smoke up, buy some wards, go into their jungle. Hey, let's go take their top tier too. Okay, smoke up, go through their jungle, and okay, or just push the top lane. Or they can take any high ground that they want. But they now go in for the mid lane. This is one of those kind of objectives I'm talking about, more of a team fight based one though. As they go on, great call, great initiation, and now they've got a second one to follow up. However, not quite as clean as they would have hoped it. Oh My Swift still large and in charge, still moving. The RP and the Haunt is off cooldown, though. They've got to be very careful about how they play these next couple of moments. They'll move in for comeback, and they'll bring him down. 4v4, comeback has no buyback. But they are missing an Aegis of Mortality, and of course... Oh, okay. Don't want to go too far ahead. Waiting for the reconnect. But before I train of thought, yeah, wasn't the cleanest fight, but they do have a target down. And now high ground isn't exactly an option for them without the Aegis Mortality, but the top tier 2 is, and controlling the enemy jungle is. And doesn't seem like they're doing either of those, but just future reference, if you're watching this game, a checklist of objectives. Controlling Roshan Pit, if Roshan is up. Controlling enemy jungle, and any outer towers. Those should be the primary objectives that you look for. The secondary objectives are high ground. The tertiary objectives are Rex, and of course the main objective is hitting the enemy throne until it goes kaboom. As Oh My Swift, blade mail up, going straight on in. Great call. Doesn't have a second life though, so he will get punished for this one. However, 2 will go down in the process, one of which buys back. Now Mimenko taking so much damage here, he will drop 2 dead now without buyback, as Well, we do have the buyback onto the to ASDF, and he does get Kuromi in the process. The Mule Scepter and Skewer, but 64 still doing some damage. There is going to be an RP as 64 does end up going down. They've got a Greaves to keep him alive, still hitting the targets, but cannot stay alive for too much longer. ASDF does end up living through this. In fact, Dead might go down, but nope, Dead is alive as well. And hitting the racks to boot. Like, this is huge. If they can get this, Skewer or Shockwave out, Rack's still taking lots of damage. It is a melee rack, so if they don't kill it, it's just going to regenerate. As Creeps now respawning. Dead, what do you... I'm kind of speechless at the moment. Kind of speechless. Because, that. So, melee racks is just going to regenerate now. The play there was either to just be happy with the tier 3 tower and back off, or get the ranged and back off. Because the ranged, obviously, having lower HP and lower armor. If you get the melee barracks down to half HP, sure as hell bet that you bring down the ranged barracks. But also that kill attempt onto the Magnus, a little bit iffy. I know he kind of wanted to 1v1 that one and get the 1-for-1, maybe secure a little bit of extra space for the Phoenix to finish the racks, but the problem that he overlooked was the fact that the Legion was going to come back alive soon anyway, and there was no way for them to capitalize on that kill. So, unfortunate to say the least, as now the Dire have still lots of life breathed into them for the next couple of moments. Top tier 2 still standing. Of course, no control still for the Radiant in the Dire's jungle. However, Kuromi is offering himself up as sacrifice, being a living ward. He will get spotted out as he gets the Orchid out, but the blink away from Jame. However, there is going to be a Veil of Discord out from Jame. If he can get his spells off, Kuromi might, sure as hell, is going to die for this one. Just he's a little bit damaged, maybe get one Plague Ward out, but Jamie, there he goes. There is the follow-up damage. Jamie's still alive, and Kuromi, sure as hell, is going to die for this one. Needs one tick. Yep, there he goes. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Oh My Swift dropping very low, but no, not going down just yet. 64 now. God Strength popped. Not able to bring down just your game, just player game, but does end up getting him down through the tick of the Supernova. Moving into the jungle for Menku. Do they have any way to stop this TP? They do not. 64 Stormhammer now coming off of cooldown. They will chase, though. They are missing Invoker. Legion Commander is down, but with buyback. And what the Radiant can do is they can push the bottom lane in and then just go straight for the mid-racks. Roshan is going to be up for another minute and a half, plus randomized timer, so they can't go for that objective. And without wars, they can't exactly control any lanes. So I think at the moment, this is the right call. Just go back and farm. That's kind of, it's not an objective like towers or map control is, but it's something to do after you win a fight, because sitting around doing nothing is the absolute worst thing that you can do. At least have something to show for any one engagement, and if it means you get 10 extra creeps because there's no pressure on you, great. If it means you get I'm getting a little bit too soapboxy here as I missed one of the most important kills, I think. As Oh My Swift, there we go. That's actually the most important kill I love the past 5 minutes. Spectre getting the Mirana is just building up to that. Let's put it that way. Make me feel a little bit less bad. But those two going down now open up the Dire for so much. I mean, if the Roshan was a minimum spawn, they could get the Roshan. And that would be a very big Roshan for them to get. But it looks like Radiant have a creep waiting in the pit and could be looking to get it. What's the randomized timer? 2 minutes left. That's hurtful. That actually hurts the Dire more than anything else, I think, in this game. Because now that pretty much guarantees the Radiant's going to get it, unless the Dire can make something spectacular happen in 2 minutes' time. Which I have no doubt they will be able to do. But it just makes it harder for them to kind of play these timings. Of course, they weren't even keeping track of the Roche timer, then it doesn't make a difference at all. They will have a decent observer ward now sitting by the pit. That obs ward is going to give them not vision of anyone running into the pit, but certainly some decent idea of happenings around the pit. And I know it looks like that ward's giving vision in the pit. No, that's just a creep. If you bring it down, oh, that's not what I meant to do. My ward hockeys, they're right here. There we go. Yeah. You can see the Dire is just this high ground. Meanwhile, the Radiant is just this creep. So, speaking of Dire, we have a maneuver inside of their own side of the map, kind of positioning themselves close to the Roche pit. Whether it has any correlation with Roshan itself, well, that's to be determined. But Radiant, meanwhile, are happy to just farm up. And, I mean, again, if you can't get any of the primary objectives, then farm. 2k gold on this Invoker. The Murana, Mr. Dead, has 600 gold, almost pulling out a Lincoln Sphere. Baku Senpai, Radiance looks to be almost done for him. 64, well, I mean, his farm is speaking for itself. A Daedalus, Echo Saber, BK, I mean, lots and lots of gold for him. Oh My Swift, also Shivas, and Blade Mail, of course. Blade Mail now returning damage before reductions. So armor stacking on top of the Blade Mail, that's the play. But, I mean, we can take a look at some of the other items, especially for the Dire side, and they're not looking all that bad. We're looking at Abyssal Blades, Blade Mails, Glimmer Capes, and Force Staffs. In fact, dual Force Staff on the Dire team. And just play your game and Mimenko as their main carries don't have quite a lot of damage items, but still have enough that they can play their hero well. I mean, Spectre doesn't need a whole lot of items to be effective. Diffusal Blade, Abyssal Blade, and Blade Mail. Wow, a lot of blades. Huh. Considering Spectre can't exactly hold a lot of blades. I don't know. Maybe she holds onto them in the void or something. But regardless, I mean, she doesn't need a lot of items, I guess is the main point, to be effective. And same thing with the Legion. All she needs is dual wins. So, have to see the Radiant are going in for that Roshan we talked about. A very necessary Roshan. The Dire are hanging close, but I don't think they've got really any idea this is actually happening. And that's the main weakness of having this Obs ward. It's got great vision for the lane, but not the pit. And now with Phoenix completing the Radiance, as well as Radiant having the Aegis Immortality, I mean, this is it. This is where they're, again, well, the earlier window we had was a great window, but they kind of, I won't say botched it, but they didn't quite have the follow-up damage that they needed to make effective use off of a very, very aggressive Blink call. But now they do. They most certainly do. They've got the BKB on 64, which is more than enough for him to just blink in and be as aggressive without an Aegis Immortality at his back. And now, Kuromi is actually going to go in, not waiting for his axe. Instead, will go out for the Glimmer Cape comeback now. This puts Glimmer Cape on cooldown for 10 seconds. There's your window, 10-second window. Can they get the creeps up fast enough? Okay, maybe it isn't as big as a window as just having the Aegis, but Oh My Swift is waiting. He's got to get rid of this Plague Ward, though, or else he'll never be able to get that blink off. Instead, he'll just walk up onto the high ground, provide his team vision, and attack the Plague Wards himself. There's a little bit of split push coming out from the Magnus, but he will have to TP back in. Now ASDF, he's waiting in the wings, looking for that RP. Gets it off. Blink, Force Staff, RP. Did he actually use the Force Staff himself? No, he got Force Staff by his team. That was the best thing that could have happened because it puts him on the low ground, which brings him right into the target zone for the Dire to exploit them. And now 64 getting glimpsed back, but they go out for player game. And even though the Phoenix is dead, it's not really that big of an issue as they lose all of their major carries, all of which have to buy back, and the melee racks go down. 64 should end up dropping to the tick here. 35, 40, 30, 20. Oh, God. Yep, no, he'll get back to the fountain. Spectre not having to buy back there is very important, though. In fact, I think some Spectres would have just bought back. And maybe if he had bought back and TP'd immediately, he could have gotten that kill with the Radiance Burn or maybe found a Spectral Dagger, but with Sven getting away alive, probably the most important thing to happen in that fight, as he'll buy a Tomb of Knowledge. Not sure why, but I guess it gets him his level 24, so no harm, no foul. As with the Helm of the Dominator, 2,400 gold, could go in for a Satanic. Lots of raw HP or raw strength from that item, giving him a lot of base damage, which equals a lot of damage via his ultimate. Speaking of, for the longest time, I thought that was an open book. Don't know why I thought it was an open book. It just looks like one. No, it's Sven's head. Fun fact about me and spell icons. See, Sven's laughing, if you heard that. I'm just going crazy. I mean, 44-minute game. It's no hour-long game, so of course I don't have any excuse to go full crazy, just kind of half crazy. Understandable, right? Oh, my Swift going in, looking for a call. Doesn't connect. Jamie avoiding it just barely, whether by his own intuition or just by a bit of a short blink, which may have been the case. This is where, you know, maybe you buy an Aether Lens. I'm not actually condoning Aether Lens on Axe, by the way. Just saying. So if someone like complains about their team buying an Aether Lens because they watched my cast, no, that's not what I'm saying. Actually, you know what? Theorycraft-wise, it could be decent. I mean, it doesn't extend the range of Call or Counter Helix. At least I don't think it does. But, you know, having a long-range Culling Blade could be very worth it. And an even longer-range Blink, again, could be very worth it. I'll have to try it. I have this thing where I like going really stupid items just to see if they work, because theory crafting is all well and good, but a lot of the time, you pick up on things that you miss theory crafting just by playing it out and getting a feel for it. As Dead is dead on the bottom lane. They get that little pick off, and that's the Mirana, who is a rather effective player. Having a Lincoln Sphere and an Aghanim Scepter may not seem like a lot, but Ags alone makes the damage output of this Mirana so high. In fact, if you look at the damage breakdown, okay, Jamie, speaking of damage, gets brought down, but go to any Mirana game that you've got, and damage breakdown, you'll notice that the Starstorm is gonna be at the top of the board, or at least the pretty high on the board for damage if the Mirana gets herself an Aghanim Scepter. If not against heroes, which is easier to see, if you go to sites like yasp.co or I think Dota Buff Plus also might break it down. You can see damage done, whether the creeps are the heroes, and boom, it's your most damage. So comeback will get slapped in, but the RP down and a haunt. This is a perfect combination of spells if they can continue it, but the Supernova is able to come out. Now Oh My Swift on the run, the Deafening Blast keeping him back. Oh My Swift survives through it all, and the Supernova connects through. Now the Radiance is back, and the rest of the Dire are falling very, very low. Oh My Swift and Baku Senpai are gonna drop. No, they will survive through it all. 64 is able to come in and clean up, and now the Spectre does buy back, but I'm not quite sure it will be enough. There is a Spectral Dagger out, doing a little bit of damage to Baku Senpai, who should drop to all the damage coming out from the Dispersion. Oh, no, is able to get himself away, and now Mimenko, oh, man. Well, he's down, to say the very least. Jamie moves in, Poison Nova out, does end up connecting on the Baku Senpai, but cannot kill with it alone. So, I mean, he'll survive. Oh, wait, what? Creeps? Oh. Oh. When in doubt, account for the creeps. Dire are all very low because of that, though. And even so, I mean, there's no one to really stop them. They're just going to go in for these tier 4 towers. The Disruptor is back, but has to be very careful about getting close. One blink, Stormhammer, and he just dies as he moves in. Glimmer Cape for the initiation. A little bit too late. He does get the Static Storm out and the Kinetic Field. Lots of range on this. That's an Aghanim Scepter, actually. That's why it's so big. A buyback from the Sven, though, as Kuromi moves in. There is a Force Staff, which protects his life, and now the Stormhammer out. Comeback is dead. Does buy back, but the Ancient dropping very low. And how do you account for a God Strength Sven? Well, the short answer is you don't. So, Ancient, couple more swipes from the Sven, and this game is over. GG, well played to both the teams. Again, I think I mentioned it earlier on, but I was very happy with the quality of play coming out. I mean, there are still mistakes, still some pretty glaring ones, but overall, I mean, hell of a game being played by both teams. And considering I've seen quite a bit of, spoiler alert, Oh My Swift, he sent in a couple of replays, and always love watching them. But it's Oh My Swift, and I think there are a couple other people in his in that stack. But regardless, was saying something. Oh yeah, from the first replay I've seen of him to now, a lot of improvement, and I'm super happy to see that. I love being a part of that. If my replays have helped at all, I mean, uh, what can I say? If you enjoyed the video, guys, don't forget to like or leave a comment. Tell your friends about it because I offer this as to anyone wants. Just check the description of the video. Of course, small fee per replay. I'll be happy to do it either live or recorded. It doesn't make a difference to me. So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and of course, I'll catch you all for the next replay.